In today's lesson in Algebra 1, solving for simple equations, well, as the title suggested, we're going to learn how to solve for simple algebraic equations. Now, first off, we're going to have to tell the difference between an expression versus an equation. Simply put, an equation has an equal sign. That's literally the only difference. So here are some examples of some expressions that we've ran into so far. So 7x plus 5. 24 minus 4 divided by 2 times 10 minus 4. And then we have a squared plus b squared all divided by c in the parentheses. So note there are no equal signs, so those are expressions. For equations, well, it's the same idea, except there is an equal sign in there. So maybe like say x is equal to 7 plus 5y. Or ax plus by is equal to c. Or in the last case, r squared plus t squared is equal to a minus d. The equal sign it doesn't have to be equal to a single variable. It could be equal to one variable or two variable or no variable. So for another example, maybe like say 10 minus 2x is equal to 5. That's also considered as an equation. So long as there's an equal sign in there and there is maybe like say a variable that hopefully we can solve for, that's an equation then. So the last thing I need to tell you is that whenever we have an expression, we evaluate the expression. So the stuff that we simplify in the expression, the one that we've been doing so far, this guy right here, that's called evaluating because we simplify it as much as possible. But whereas when it comes to equation, we solve for the equation, and the sequencing is exactly the same thing, but except we just call it solve because there's an equation involved. So let's go ahead and get into the example. Let's say that we want to solve for each of the equations. And again, it's going to be solved because it's an equation and there's an equal sign. So in the first case, we want to solve for w is equal to 7 plus 5 minus 4 times 2. And you're noticing that's the sequence of how we do it. It's exactly the same as before. Following the idea of having to use PEMDAS, the order of operation, we're going to go ahead and clean up the right-hand side as much as possible so we can get w is equal to a single number. So order of operation says, hey, let's go ahead and take care of the 4 times 2 first, which is going to be 8. So 7 plus 5 and then minus 8 is equal to w. And then finally, everything is added and subtracted, so we can just go from left to right. 7 plus 5 is going to give us 12 minus 8. So that means that w is equal to 4. So notice, yes, it's exactly the same idea here. For the next one, x is equal to 3 squared plus 4 squared, all divided by 0.1. Same as before then. We're going to go ahead and maybe simplify by going to the numerator and cleaning that up as much as possible. So x is equal to 3 squared will give us 9, plus 4 squared will give us 16, and then all divided by 0.1. Now, the 9, sorry about that. The 9 plus the 16, that then gives us 25. And then we have the 0.1 on the bottom. And if we think about this, I guess algebraically, same as before, one way we can do it is we can just move over a decimal place, and then that way we can solve for it. So on the bottom, I'm going to move over one decimal space, and then on the top, I'm going to go ahead and move over one decimal space. So it becomes 250 over 1, and so we clean that up as 250 as our answer then. You don't want to do the complicated stuff if it's not necessary. For the next one right here, same thing. We'll go ahead and add them together. And a lot of these right now, I'm kind of like prepping you because, or actually more like reviewing with you how to add, subtract fractions and decimals, so forth, just because, you know, it's worth looking into. So 2 1/3 plus y plus 9 1/4 is equal to y. So the y, we'll leave it on the left-hand side. We'll go ahead and maybe add the like terms just to make things a little bit easier. The 2 and the 9, that gives us a total of 11. Plus the 1/3 plus the 1/4. So notice that I kind of just broke it into chunks, so then that way it's easier to digest. Now we just have to focus on the 1/3 plus the 1/4. We're going to try to do that by getting a common denominator. That common denominator is 12. So 1/3, we can change that to 4 over 12, but whereas the 1/4, we can change that to 3 over 12. And now that the common denominators are the same, we can add them together. So your final answer is y is equal to 11 7/12 then. Okay. As for the last three problems, well, this is a little bit tricky because this is, again, looking ahead just so that you can kind of like, see where we're going into. Notice now our equation is a plus 5 is equal to 8. Well, this time we don't have everything all on one side, but we can think of it this way to help us a little bit, figure it out a little bit easier. This problem is really saying what number plus 5 is equal to 8? Repeat it one more time. What number plus 5 is equal to 8? And if you can kind of like think of it backwards, in this case, hopefully you can kind of like see what's happening there. So that number, kind of like, maybe doing a little bit of guessing, checking, is going to be a is equal to 3. So keeping it a little simple right now, but just changing a different variation just to kind of play around with it. Later on, we'll find out another method to actually solve for it algebraically. For the next one, same thing. 6b is equal to 18. So I'm asking for what number multiplied by 6 will give you 18? What number multiplied by 6 will give you 18? Well, again, just thinking about it like mentally, hopefully you can kind of see that the answer will then be 3 then. So these aren't, again, meant to be difficult. They're just meant to kind of give you an idea about like, how to actually approach it in the future. Now for the last one, I would like for you guys to try it on your own. 2c plus 1 is equal to 13. So again, saying it to yourself, it's basically saying what number multiplied by 2, and then you add 1 is equal to 13. What number multiplied by 2, and then add 1 is equal to 13. I am going to leave this one blank, and I'm going to go ahead and let you try it. But there you go. That's going to be our lesson. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.